Hey, what's up? It's Ryan checking in. Winter Bulk Day 22 already. This is GST Lift Day, which is a deadlift focused day, a posterior chain focused day. This is going to be another video with a full voiceover. As you know, it's a busy week for me. We got the candle business pumping, full speed ahead. Christmas time, it's our busiest season for that. So I need to get in and out of the gym. No training chats, no intros, no outros. This is just straight training with a voiceover. All right, I'm starting off with deadlifts, conventional deadlifts with the Alico Oppen bar. I love this bar. It's forgiving and it is nice. It's a high quality bar. When I'm doing these deadlifts, you know, you got to stay braced when you're doing deadlifts. This is an 80% 1 rep max day, lower rep day, something like 3 plus, and then I'm going to hit AMRAP on the final. But the point is that it's 80%. So you got to stay braced and tight. You can't just be lollygagging through these reps. You got to have your mental cues in your head. You got to be thinking strong, thinking supportive, thinking braced, and doing it right. No rep can be absent-minded here. So we're going to get into this last set, this AMRAP set.
Come on. Bunch of reps.
All right, now I want to say, you know, when I do an AMRAP set like this, I try to get a decent pace in the beginning. If it's heavy, you can't just always magically do that, though, because it's heavy. You can't just magically move fast. But I still try to stay focused, still try to pump out good, quick reps early on. It helps me build up the volume. It helps me maximize the set. And then when things get tough, they get slowed down a little bit, more time to think about mental cues, and you're just really trying to focus on doing it right.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy. Don't worry, be happy.
All right, into supplement lift number 1. Now, of course, lunges. Unilateral leg movements are one of my favorite things to do. I never exclude them from programming. They're very valuable. You should get them in your program as well. This is a quad-focused movement. But yeah, I said it was a posterior-focused day. It is, but you need twice weekly frequency, and GST programming delivers that. So I always have a quad-focused movement on my posterior-focused day, and I always have a posterior-focused movement on my quad-focused day. That's how you get that twice weekly frequency effectively. It's a simple way to do it. So these deficit dumbbell lunges, you can't really see my feet up on top, but I have about a 2-inch deficit. I'm lunging off my deadlift platform here just for a little bit of extra range of motion, a little more depth. It's going to involve the glutes more. It's going to get more quad range of motion. It's just the way that I like to do it. It's an intensity technique to step up standard lunges. And, you know, I've been doing standard lunges for a long, long time. They're one of my favorite movements. And this is a great way that I can just make them a little bit tougher. When you're doing lunges, especially with dumbbells, you know, dumbbells can be the hardest variation of lunges. If you ask me, they rank up there with like a front lunge where you hold the bar in a front squat position and do lunges. But I think dumbbells are the toughest variation of lunges just because you're using more energy than with a bar on your back. You're physically holding the weights. So you're using forearm muscles, and you know those weights can swing around. And this brings me to my next point is when you're coming down into a dumbbell lunge, when you're dropping down, finding the floor with that back knee, you don't want to let your torso lean very far forward, and you don't want to let those dumbbells stay in line with the front leg, because that's not where you want the weight to be centered. You want the weight to be centered over your hips, which means they're going to stay more in line with your back leg. So if you notice here, you know, when I come down, I'm trying to stay nice and upright, but I'm physically trying to manhandle those dumbbells and move them back so they're in line with my back leg, my back quad. And that's going to keep the weight where it needs to be over the hips. So you can see that when I come down, I kind of swing them back a little bit. And then when I come up, I just let them naturally swing forward a little bit as well. That's a big tip with dumbbell lunges. You know, I don't really see that talked about too much, but when you're doing it, and when you've done it both ways, you can 100% tell the difference between the two methods. You're going to get more difficulty more intensity, and you're going to feel actually more stable with the dumbbells coming back and following that back leg through its range of motion. Now, I just said following the back leg, and I want to mention that while the dumbbells follow the back leg, you should be thinking about the front leg doing the work, because the front leg is what's in focus here. So when I step back with my left, I'm thinking about my right set of quads and my right glutes driving me back up. Always think about that front leg doing the work to bring you back up, but keep the weight centered over the back leg. If you follow these tips during lunges, any type of lunge, you're going to get more out of it. Like, it's just going to feel better. You're going to feel more connected. When I'm doing these, man, I'm dialed into the proper muscle groups, and it pays dividends. Next up, we're going to have good mornings. So we're back to the posterior chain focus here. If you've been following my vlogs lately, these have just been feeling like perfection. These are just rocketing up in strength. Obviously, this is an accessory to a deadlift movement. It's a phenomenal hip hinge movement. It's really going to hit your hamstrings, your glutes, and your spinal erectors, those lower spinal erectors. And these have been feeling incredible. I've been moving good weight. Today I touched on, here I did 185, felt light, easy, literally easy. Then I went to 200. That was the first time doing 200 in a while. And then you'll see on my third set, I just felt the need for more, so I bumped it up, 205. Still knocked out a nice, solid 10 reps. So this has been flying up. Now, when I do these, I think the number one thing that I want to tell you is have the bar in a low bar position. The low bar position is just so good for these for a couple reasons. When you're coming down, the bar doesn't feel like it wants to roll onto your neck. You don't want a weighted bar rolling onto your neck, and you don't want to have to worry about thinking that it's going to either. So the low bar position, that really avoids that sensation. It negates that sensation 100%. And when you're coming down, just pull the bar into your rear delts, and you're going to lock it in place for those low bar good mornings. Another thing that I want to mention, and I do think this is super important, maybe this is the number one tip. You really shouldn't have your knees locked out when doing good mornings.
Oh, finally, 200. 200 on the old good mornings. They're feeling really good today.
All right, I just had to pause there for a second because I know I said something. I'm not sure what it is, but I know I said something. So you shouldn't have your knees locked out when doing good mornings. I know that we've all seen pictures of Schwarzenegger and those guys in the 70s doing knees locked good mornings. I don't really care. Don't do that. It's not a good idea. It's horrible for your back. You're going to get injured eventually doing that. Have a little knee bend. See what I'm doing here? You have a little knee bend. You still get a really nice hip hinge. You can fold over till your upper body is like near parallel to the floor or even parallel. I don't go totally parallel. It's just a little bit too low for me to feel safe and sound, especially with a decent amount of weight on your upper back here. So a little bit of knee bend, basically about the same as a Romanian deadlift. Shooting the hips back. You're literally watching my butt go back and then drive forward in space. It's moving quite a bit. And my glutes get stretched right here. Then they flex right there. Also, hamstring stretched at the bottom and flexed at the top.
Man, it's just not tough yet. I mean, it's challenging, but it's not that level where you really feel pushed. That's probably like a RPE 7.5. Whew.
All right, I have to say I was a little bit talkative during these. Okay, so we're back on it. We've got this last set of good mornings. You can see I got 185 plus 20, 205 on the bar. And all of a sudden, this is going to be the last set of this vlog. I'm showing you my compounds today, and that's it. After this, I did shrugs, I did lying leg curls, and I did kneeling cable crunches, and then also some calf work as well. So it's just a full posterior chain day from the traps, so the base of my neck, all the way down to the back of my ankles, everything in between basically. So final set of good mornings. So let's go over the tips again. Low bar position, can see it's locked in, braced real tight throughout the whole range of motion. I'm pulling the bar into my rear delt shelf, knees slightly bent, basically like a Romanian deadlift. I mean, guys, these are essentially a Romanian deadlift with the bar on your back in the low bar position. So you see, I'm just moving through these nice, and I'm just thinking, I'm thinking braced, I'm thinking glute stretch, I'm thinking glute flex. I don't really think about my hamstrings, to be honest. They just do the work because biomechanically they have to. So I can just rely on that to stimulate growth in them. All right, so I just have a few more reps here. You know, I got to check out. I know I make another comment at the end of this set. I'm glad to have you with me. This has been a great full voiceover. I hope you learned a lot about working your posterior chain as well as those lunges. You have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I think I might have done one extra rep there. That just shows the gains on the good mornings, man. They just keep coming. 205, 200, 185. So much more volume than last week.
See ya.